I am not happy about Trump and the transphobia and the curtailing of free speech rights and the efforts to destroy the federal government, but a 200% tariff on European wine and spirits might be my final limit. It's Friday, March 14th. I'm Jane Coaston, and this is What A Day, the show that reminds you that if you're having a bad day, it's definitely better than North Carolina Republican Representative Chuck Edwards' town hall on Thursday.
Actually, I believe that the president is very supportive of Ukraine.
Tough crowd of constituents in North Carolina. On today's show, a federal judge tells the Trump administration to reinstate thousands of fired probationary employees. And dozens of people are arrested while protesting the detention of a Columbia University student activist. But let's start with the chance of a government shutdown tonight. Senate Democrats are scheduled to vote on government funding today. This story is moving very quickly. We recorded this episode on Thursday night. And as of Thursday night, some Senate Democrats wanted to block a continuing resolution that would keep the government open, arguing that the bill stemming from the House is a worse bet for Americans than a government shutdown would be. Especially given that President Donald Trump and billionaire co-president Elon Musk have shown little to no willingness to respect Congress's spending decisions. And that would go for a continuing resolution, too. Here's Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine speaking to reporters on Thursday about just how bad this bill is.
The House wrote a bad bill and then left town Tuesday. And so Speaker Johnson is the Speaker of the House. He's not the czar of the Senate. So when I have Republican senators saying openly in an armed services hearing, this House CR hurts the national defense. When I have Pentagon officials saying this House CR hurts the national defense, I don't really view this as just a R versus D thing. The House has written a bill that hurts the country.
The bill likely would need at least 8 Democratic senators to pass, but other Senate Democrats, like Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, have said that they would vote for it. On the Senate floor Thursday, Schumer said that a shutdown would give Trump and Musk, quote, carte blanche to destroy vital government services at a significantly faster rate.
While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse.
Some Senate Democrats who oppose the bill are supporting a 30-day funding extension to give more time for negotiations. But again, Republicans are in charge of both the House and Senate, so there's little to no chance of that happening. But to Trump, despite Republicans being in charge of Congress, a shutdown would be all the fault of Democrats.
If it's shut down, it's only going to be, if there's a shutdown, it's only because of the Democrats, and they would really be taking away a lot from our country.
It's true. Democrats are in a weird position. On the one hand, a government shutdown would be painful for federal workers and for everyday Americans who need government services. And let's remember that what stays open and what closes under a shutdown would be determined by the whims of Donald Trump. That seems to be driving some Democrats to vote for the bill. But other Democrats, and this might be you, want to see someone stand up to Trump and Musk, and a shutdown might be the way to do so. So to talk about what Democrats should do about a possible shutdown, and how they should handle it if one happens, and about Democratic strategy more broadly, I spoke with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on Thursday afternoon before Senator Schumer spoke on the floor. Leader Jeffries, welcome to What A Day.
Great to be with you.
President Donald Trump has said that if there is a shutdown, it's, quote, only because of the Democrats. Does he have a point? Because Republicans in the House passed a spending plan, and in the Senate, it can't pass without Democrats.
Yeah, I think it's the most ridiculous thing that can be said about this particular shutdown situation that we find ourselves in. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They could have sat down with Democrats in both the House and the Senate to negotiate a full year spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of health, safety, national security, and economic well-being. Instead, what Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and House Republicans are trying to do is to jam a far-right, extreme, partisan spending bill down the throats of the American people. That's why Democrats strongly opposed it in the House, because this so-called spending bill will actually cut health care, cut nutritional assistance, and cut veterans' benefits along with a whole host of other priorities that make a difference in the lives of the American people.
How does a shutdown under this Trump White House differ from previous administrations, even from Trump's first term? Like, what are we operating with if these are our options?
Well, Republicans have consistently shut down the government over the last several decades. We've seen this play out before in the 1990s when Bill Clinton was president and Newt Gingrich was speaker. In 2013, there was a shutdown in October of that year because Republicans in the House and in the Senate, when Barack Obama was president, wanted us as Democrats, I was in my first year in the Congress, to actually repeal the Affordable Care Act, and we told them to get lost. In 2018 into 2019, there was a 35-day government shutdown, the longest shutdown in American history. It actually started when Donald Trump was president and Republicans controlled the House and the Senate. And so we've seen this pattern play itself out over and over and over again, which is why I'm confident that at the end of the day, if there is to be a shutdown because Republicans refuse to negotiate with us in a bipartisan way, the American people know exactly who to blame: Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and their congressional Republican sycophants.
But I feel like, to me, this one feels different. Are the risks bigger given the slumping stock market, the risk to federal workers' jobs? I know that this is Trump's doing, but do you think Democrats are ready for this?
I think the big issue and the concern that many of us have with the partisan Republican spending bill is that it may actually give more power to Elon Musk, to the so-called Doge effort, and to the Trump administration to do the things that they are doing right now as it relates to dismantling important services provided to the American people, but they consistently are getting turned back in court. The challenge that we face with this partisan spending bill that Republicans are trying to jam down the throats of the American people is that it might actually give them the authority to do the extreme things that are taking place right now without our ability to stop them in court.
So you're saying that blocking this bill is worth the risks I mentioned then, that the economy could stumble more, that there could be more ways for this administration to take a sledgehammer to the federal government?
Donald Trump and Republicans are crashing the economy in real time. They are driving us to a possible Republican recession. We're seeing that happen. They've done nothing to drive down the high cost of living. Not a single bill have Republicans passed to make life more affordable. Not a single administrative action and not a single executive order. That's the problem. We are standing on the side of the American people, and it's all connected to the overall scheme where they want to end Medicaid, end Social Security, end Medicare as we know it, all in service of trying to pass a massive tax cut for their super rich donors and well-connected corporations who don't need a tax cut. We need to provide relief to everyday Americans.
How do you get the American people to realize that then? Because Trump and Musk have so thoroughly owned the attention space, and Democrats haven't been able to mount a strong response to their constant attacks on social media and in media in general. I mean, it's that flood the zone strategy that we keep talking about. So how does the party avoid letting Trump convince the country that Democrats who don't have power own the shutdown?
Well, we definitely have to continue to communicate, every hour, every day, every week, every month, as House Democrats are doing and will continue to do in the face of what you appropriately noted is a flood the zone strategy that is designed to disorient the American people and to discourage the American people. But here's why I think folks should be encouraged in the midst of the storm. And this is a storm, and they are unleashing harm with record velocity on the American people. It's a 5-alarm fire. It's an all hands on deck moment. But we're starting to see Trump's popularity come down, not up, come down in record time. Only thing dropping more than Trump's popularity right now is the stock market because of his reckless actions. But the American people are seeing that he promised to focus on the economy, but instead he is doing things to actively hurt everyday Americans, including the Trump tariffs, which represent a tax on working class Americans. And it's one of the reasons why things in terms of prices are continuing to go up, not down. We have them on the run on the economy. We have them on the run on taxes, and we have them on the run on health care, particularly their effort to enact the largest Medicaid cut in American history. Next Tuesday, we're going to have a Medicaid Day of Action as House Democrats all across the country, in every market that we're in, because we understand that this has to be a collective effort to be able to communicate with the American people using every tool that is available.
What if Senate Democrats ultimately do go along with the House plan? Then what? What will House Democrats do for the next 6 months to counter Trump?
Well, we're going to continue to push back on all of the extreme legislative things that are underway. We're just at the very beginning of a budget battle. Every single House Democrat voted against the reckless Republican budget resolution. That budget battle is going to continue. It's my hope the Senate Democratic caucus, as I understand it, is meeting as we speak to try to figure out a path forward in terms of pushing back against this partisan Republican spending bill.
We're hearing from federal workers on our end who are terrified about a shutdown. They think it might give Musk carte blanche to further gut the federal agencies they work for because no one will be watching. What assurances can you give federal workers that that won't happen?
We don't want a shutdown. Nobody wants a shutdown. Now, in terms of the concerns relative to a potential shutdown giving Musk additional authority beyond which he has, nothing could be further from the truth, because there will be no change in existing law. And existing law will continue to apply. And it's the existing law which is allowing the American people to continue to stop Elon Musk in court case after court case after court case.
I think a lot of Americans feel at a total loss for what to do in this moment. You're talking to a ton of people who are in support of Democrats, but are really mixed as to what they want Democrats to be doing. So what should they be doing? What should everyday people be doing to push back against everything that's taking place?
Show up at a town hall meeting, communicate with your member of Congress, whether that's a Democratic member of Congress or a Republican member of Congress. Communicate with your senator, whether that's a Democratic senator or a Republican senator. Share your priorities, share your ideas. Perhaps most importantly, share your story. I've opened up a portal. We've asked all members to open up a portal where people can share their stories with their congressional representatives. Mine is democraticleader.house.gov/share your story. Other thing that I would say, there are a lot of advocacy organizations that are local, that allow people to understand some of the things that are taking place and then get involved in the advocacy effort to get these things turned around. And talking to your local member of Congress or your state legislator or your city council person or your county legislator, all these things are important because it's an all hands on deck effort.
Leader Jeffries, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll get to more of the news in a moment, but if you like the show, make sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and share with your friends. More to come after some ads. What Today is brought to you by Rocket Money. It happens to all of us. You sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, and then you're charged, month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them. In fact, I just learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. Thanks to Rocket Money, I can see all my subscriptions in one place and cancel the ones I'm not using anymore. And now I'm saving more money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. See all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. You can get alerts if bills increase in price, there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over budget. And the new goals feature automatically saves money for you, so you don't have to think about it. Pay off credit card debt, put away money for a house, or just build your savings. Rocket Money can even negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/whataday today. That's rocketmoney.com/whataday. rocketmoney.com/whataday.
Headline.
Hundreds of demonstrators held a sit-in at Trump Tower in Manhattan Thursday to protest the detainment of Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate facing deportation for his involvement in pro-Palestinian campus demonstrations. The action was organized by Jewish Voice for Peace. Nearly 100 protesters were arrested by New York police. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials arrested Khalil last week. They claim that the State Department ordered them to revoke his green card. Khalil was born in Syria and is a legal permanent resident of the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security has justified the effort to deport Khalil, accusing him of leading, quote, activities aligned to Hamas by helping organize protests against Israel's war on Gaza. In an interview with NPR Thursday, host Michelle Martin asked DHS Deputy Secretary Troy Edgar if he thinks that protesting the Israeli government warrants deportation.
So is protest a deportable offense?
We would never have let him into the country.
Is protesting a deportable offense?
Like I said, you're focused on protesting. I'm focused on it's a visa process. He went through a legal process, came into the country.
Are you saying that he lied on his application? He's a lawful permanent resident married to an American citizen.
Well, I think if he would have declared he's a terrorist, we would have never let him in.
And what did he engage in that constitutes terrorist activity?
Michelle, have you watched it on TV? It's pretty clear.
No, it isn't.
No, it is not. Also on Thursday, Khalil filed a lawsuit alleging that Columbia University illegally shared information about student activists, such as himself, with the Trump administration. 7 unnamed students who currently attend Columbia are listed as plaintiffs. Columbia sent out an email Thursday saying it has suspended or expelled some students who participated in an anti-war campus protest last year. The school also said it revoked the diplomas of some graduates who joined the action. A federal judge in California Thursday ordered the Trump administration to reinstate thousands of probationary employees fired across several agencies. The judge ordered the Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury departments to offer jobs back to employees let go in mass firings last month, a setback to the Trump administration's efforts to drastically reduce the federal government. Maybe they can't get away with doing whatever they want all the time. U.S. District Judge William Alsop described the government's justifications for the firings as a, quote, sham. He said the terminations directed by the Office of Personnel Management were unlawful and claimed a loophole based on the conduct was used to implement them. Alsop said it is, quote, a sad day when our government would fire some good employee and say it was based on performance when they knew good and well that's a lie. He told the departments to give him an update on how they're complying with his order within a week. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement, quote, the Trump administration will immediately fight back against this absurd and unconstitutional order. Oh, now you care about the Constitution. Russian President Vladimir Putin Thursday publicly addressed the U.S.-backed ceasefire offer with Ukraine for the first time. Putin said in theory he supports the idea of a 30-day ceasefire, but he has some conditions. Ukraine has already agreed to the proposal. Putin's comments at a news conference in Moscow Thursday came as U.S. officials were in Russia to discuss the deal.
Идея правильная, и мы, безусловно, ее поддерживаем. Но есть вопросы, которые мы должны обсудить. И думаю, что нам нужно и с американскими нашими коллегами, партнерами на этот счет переговорить. Может быть, с президентом Трампом созвониться и вместе с ним пообсуждать.
Putin said, quote, the idea itself is correct, and we certainly support it. But there are issues that we need to discuss, and I think that we need to talk about it with our American colleagues and partners, and perhaps have a call with President Trump and discuss it with him. Sure, says the guy who launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine more than 3 years ago. Putin cited concerns over how the ceasefire would be enforced and whether Ukrainian troops would continue receiving arms during the pause. Trump addressed Putin's comments Thursday during a meeting at the White House with the NATO Secretary General.
He put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or talk to him.
But not everyone was convinced. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called Putin's comments, quote, predictable and manipulative. The White House has withdrawn the nomination of Dr. Dave Weldon, Trump's pick to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The Senate announced the news Thursday morning, hours before Weldon was set to testify before lawmakers in his first confirmation hearing. Axios was the first to report the story. White House officials said Weldon did not have the votes to be confirmed, citing Weldon's record of anti-vaccine rhetoric. The former Florida congressman has long pushed the baseless theory that vaccines cause autism. Yet, Senate Republicans had no problem confirming Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who also thinks vaccines cause autism. It shouldn't surprise anyone that Kennedy recommended Weldon to lead the CDC. According to a statement Weldon put out Thursday, the secretary was upset to hear news of Weldon's withdrawn nomination. Though a source told Axios that Kennedy said that Weldon wasn't ready for the job behind closed doors. And that's the news. That's all for today. If you like the show, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, do not take away my European wines and spirits, and tell your friends to listen. And if you're into reading, and not just about how seriously, I am not happy about Trump and the transphobia and the curtailing of free speech rights and the efforts to destroy the federal government, but a 200% tariff on European wine and spirits might be my final limit. Like me, What A Day is also a nightly newsletter. Check it out and subscribe at crooked.com/subscribe. I'm Jane Coaston, and keep your hands off my Montepulciano.